So start the
That's not your
recording,
normal brand. Oh, yeah.
and then start the. All right, so don't talk over the.
I'm not talking.
You just talk. You just did
No,
again.
it's okay because the music's playing. It's okay.
Yeah, but I didn't turn the microphone. Oh shit! Maybe just the camera.
Oh, just cut me out of the picture. That's cool. Yeah. That's fine.
I made the camera closer today. Should I put it back farther?
No. This is the right way to do it, man. For sure.
Well, welcome to Jeremiah Creek.
This is going to be an ASMR edition.
Yes.
I'm just going to whisper to you.
I am David Haynes. That's Bull Garlington over there. Our names are under the right sort of thing.
Well, look at that. I should have wore a hat. because
Reduce the
Jesus Christ, look at my
shine.
hair.
I gotta reduce the shine. Yeah, what is with your hair?
I've been busy. I got up and I didn't do my normal routine. I didn't take a shower and a bunch of other stuff. I got busy.
Yeah.
I've been busy all morning. I've been busy for weeks now. Shut up. I smell like a flower.
Yes, the corpse flower over at the botanical
Still a
garden.
flower. I have a body like a god. The elephant.
Your wife must be out of town.
India. No, she's not. No.
My stepmother's out of town, so my dad's been calling me every day.
She was out of town. My wife had one of those amazing experiences that she gets to have because she's a professional and she has a real job. Her company, not her company, one of her company's clients flew her and a bunch of other of their clients and their vendors to Rhode Island, to Newport, Rhode Island, to the New York Yacht Club.
Something wrong with it.
And they got on, sailing yachts with the sails and everything. And they went out, like 30 of them. They went out in the bay and had a beautiful day. Champagne, the whole. They had a.
Wait,
dress
did they
code.
each had their own yacht, or?
No,
Oh,
I mean,
well, you know what?
what
Sorry.
the hell, man?
I know I'm going off on a tangent. The reason I said that is because I happened to be at Montrose Beach the other day, and I saw something I haven't seen since I was a kid. Obviously, a sailing class where all these little sailboats were all together out there,
There you go.
and that's why when you said they all went out on.
We have a whole bunch of topics that could roll out of
sorry,
this. Okay,
sorry.
and clearly you have several. So
This is we look wrong.
I'm just saying she had a great time, and it was a really cool
There we
thing.
go.
And the New York Yacht Club is one of
Yeah,
those
that might look even.
150-year-old buildings. It's just swank, and so she had a swank lawyer TV level experience, and I'm like, this is really cool. They had a dress code. You had to wear the correct colors to get on the boat.
Did you have to wear a hat? The women,
They
females
gave you
had.
hats.
Oh,
They gave you New York Yacht Club hats.
oh,
that were
but not
pink.
like going to Ascot where you have to wear a
No,
formal hat.
no.
That would be cool.
I
though.
bought her a hat, and she didn't wear that one. So I was very jealous. I'm very jealous of all her trips. In November, she's accompanying one of her friends on their business trip to Hawaii. So my two wives are going to be in Hawaii in November, and I'm like, I'm letting all this stuff bank up.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. I'm supporting everything because in 2 years I'm going to be like, it's time for me to take a vacation.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere.
I don't
all
know.
right?
I don't know if it works that way. I mean,
It
I've been
does.
married for 30 years, and I don't think it works that way.
Have you ever taken vacation by yourself or a trip?
Just Indiana. Well, no, just. I
don't mean like to your
work
cabin
conferences.
Not fish camp. I mean,
Yeah.
like a trip.
No, not in 30, almost 30. Wait a minute. What year is this? 31 years. So this will
25.
this will be my 31st anniversary this next month.
34
No,
for us.
October.
My wife has gone on cruises that I didn't go with her on
Oh.
because it was a stupid cruise and I didn't want to go. She went on a Walking Dead cruise. I'm like, I'm not going. She goes, come on. I'm like, no, that's stupid. You go by yourself. And so she went with her sister, and they had and I'm finger quoting here, great time.
Walking
Whatever.
Dead cruise.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My wife was so when The Walking Dead was popular. She
You know
was
what?
so into it.
I just saw. What was I on? I was on. I think the AMC channel on YouTube to see if I wanted to subscribe to it. They have like 10 different Walking Dead spin-offs. What or backstories? Something.
It's a whole like ecosystem
Yeah.
of The Walking Dead.
I was never a fan. I think I watched one show.
I just don't get it. I mean,
Well, that
once-
brings us to a topic though that I have.
we already off boats. I had like 8 things to
Oh,
talk about
sorry.
for boats. No, we have to follow our tangents. Dave.
right.
That's our MO.
It's just that I just started watching a show that it's called The Lincoln Lawyer, the series.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I started watching it when it first came out, and I really enjoyed it, and then stopped after like 4 episodes, even though I really enjoyed it, and then just never got back to it. So I started rewatching it again. I think it might have been because it wasn't coming out. It wasn't. You can't binge.
Yeah,
It was. It came out every week, and I just one week I missed it, and boom. But
it's a pretty good show.
I started wondering about other shows that I started watching and then didn't finish.
Let's see. For me, it was one of those Star Wars things, and I literally forgot about it. And then, like a year later, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute!" I went back and I finished the whole thing. Like,
It's another one. Aqualite. I watched the first couple episodes, really liked it, and never watched it again.
it's a pretty good one. You know, a lot of people are like, they're like, "Why is Star Wars mining all this?" I'm like, because of course they are. Just like the Marvel. If you have that big of a fan base, you don't ever stop.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
As long as you're making money.
Yeah, and keep going. Bring all those stories out, man. I think they're great.
All right, so let's get back to boats because I do want to go back to video. I have another video thing.
Well, there's a thing I've been waiting on to come to Chicago that's now in Chicago. It may have been here a long time. I didn't know. I assumed it wasn't here, and then I looked it up the other day, and it is. And that is hot tub boats on the river.
Really?
It is.
You get to go sit in a hot tub, or
You sit in a hot tub that is also a boat and float around the river drinking, I'm assuming champagne, whatever. And,
wow, never heard of that.
Oh yeah, look it up. Look it up. It's I saw it in a movie, and I was like, well, we should have that here, And then we didn't. And the other day I was talking about it, and everyone's like, I would never do that. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? They combine two of the greatest things in the world: hot tubbing and boating.
Well, my neighbor has a hot tub fire truck with a keg in it.
Okay, what?
My neighbor has a
Which neighbor, Tennessee or Chicago?
It's Chicago. Steve Gotts, you met him before. He's the Kramer of our block. He's just falls in a lighthouse, comes up smelling like a rose. And he's got a fire truck that he put a hot tub on it, and where they keep the equipment is a keg, and then he had a spout so you can get it from the hot tub. He used to bring it to block parties.
Am I the Kramer of our? How do you know if you're the Kramer of your block? I guess if you have to ask, right?
You got to be a big Seinfeld fan. Yeah, if you don't know who the Kramer of your block is, then you are the Kramer of your block.
Here's the other boat thing. One of the people my wife met was an attorney from Chicago. I'm not going to say who she works for. She works for a giant, well-known brand and a firm. All right, she's a name partner in a firm here in Chicago.
Jim Thompson? I heard he's a woman now.
No, I don't know.
Oh, right.
She owns 37 yachts.
As a business?
No.
Oh my God.
And I kept asking Kelly, I'm like, surely she rents them out. And Kelly said, no. She just owns 37 yachts. I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you want so many? That must be just taking care of them and birthing them must be BERTH. Must be incredibly expensive. Not to mention what they actually cost.
Right.
37. Yachts.
Well, and to keep them, I mean, you have to. It's not like you can't run the engines for 6 months.
Right.
So you have to
gotta
have
take
a
care of
crew. You have to have,
Got to take them down to Galveston in the wintertime,
or wherever.
It's nuts, or wherever, Miami. So, and I told my wife, I'm like, you become good friends with that lady.
But you know what though?
No hold back right there.
Yeah, it's hard to become. I have a sort of a relative who owns several houses. One in Scottsdale, one here, one in Hawaii, and I think we see each other once a year. Actually, I haven't seen him since the pandemic because he got stuck in Hawaii during the pandemic and he just stayed there the whole time.
Stuck.
Yeah. But yeah, it's it's not like he's like a distant relative, but it's like he's got kids, so I'm not in his will.
Yeah. I would love to have. I would never want a summer house. I'm just not that. I'm not the kind of guy. I'm not going to go fucking drive up to Wisconsin and take care of a house every weekend. There's no way I'm going to do it ever. And I don't want to have to go to the same place every year for vacation, right?
That's the reason why we didn't buy anything, and I look back now and I regret it. I think if we would have asked, my father-in-law and figured out a way to come up with some money, he would have helped us bought a place up in Delavan, Wisconsin, or New Buffalo, Michigan, or something like that. And, back then, we had the same argument. We don't want to go to the same place and have to cook and clean at our other house while we're on vacation. But now it's like, that was before Airbnb became a big thing and Vrbo.
Right.
And now it's like, I look back and think we would have been buying at a good time, and then we would have been able to rent it out and have it cleaned and stuff like that. And it would
Make
have
an income and then eventually sell it.
Yeah.
We wanted to do that
It was
for
bad investment. Bad investment thinking of my part.
I don't think you and I can be accused of being of having business acumen. It's an insult that's not been levied at us. We wanted to put one in Savannah, and when we were down there, we went looking at places. We found a couple we really liked, but we never pulled the trigger. But I would love to have a house in Savannah. I think that city is fantastic.
I sometimes think that we made a mistake not buying like a rental property, but then I hear stories of my wife dealing with people with rental properties, and I'm like,
That's part of it.
Wouldn't want to own one here. She's telling me a story. She's telling me a story about this guy who didn't pay his rent, hasn't paid his rent in a year, and his landlord, who owns the condo, is now out all this income and everything, and plus whatever damage they might have done, and so they had to go through the whole process, which is even more burdensome now since COVID, of evicting somebody who literally is not paying rent, and it took a year. And they were right at the end where he got the order to evict him, and so he just handed the keys off to a friend of his and left. And now they have to start the process all over again because they just changed squatters, and he's not the same person.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Wow.
The problem is that the courts do not recognize the difference between people who are having problems and the people who game the system.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of glad I don't own rental property in Chicago.
I mean, that's why you vet people so hard before they rent.
Yeah, and so it screws anybody who doesn't have, who's starting on their first apartment, who gets divorced or whatever the hell, who can't stand up to those scrutinies, but is otherwise a decent person. You can't take a chance on anybody. You take a chance on somebody, this is who you're going to be taking a chance on.
I don't know if that's always true, but
It's not always true. It's that you don't know.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. We did do one stupid thing like that. We bought a timeshare in Mexico.
Oh, I remember that, yeah.
And I was always like, we need to get rid of it. Colleen's like, you have no idea. It's impossible to get rid of a timeshare. And I said, but there's law firms that specialize in it. She goes, yeah, they are the same company that owns a timeshare. And so it just draws that even worse. So that's how they just get their money from you that way. Yeah, you get rid of the timeshare, but you're still giving them all your money because they're the law firm that takes care of it. And but then during COVID, like right after COVID, the $300 a month we were paying in service fees or whatever stopped being charged. And I was like, what's going on? My wife's like, I don't know, but I'm not going to bother it.
Yeah.
So we don't have a timeshare anymore. We're out an amount of money I'm not going to say on the air, but to be honest with you, I'm kind of relieved.
Until they show up and say, you owe 3 years of timeshare fees plus interest. Maybe
I
they went out
did
of
get a
business.
weird phone call the other day, and somebody said, have you only used your Exotica one time? And I said, who the fuck is this? What is Exotica? Is that a tit bar? And then
I've never been to a strip joint in my life.
Yeah, and then I hung up on the guy. That might have been them. I don't know.
I got a call. I found out later it was from Dish Network. This lady calls up. She goes, "Yeah, I'm calling up from Dish Network. We have a problem with your account, and I'm going to need to talk to you about it. But before I do, I need to confirm your identity. Can you please tell me your address?" And I'm like, "No."
Wouldn't you know that?
Yeah, you just called me out of the blue. And you expect me to give you personal information? Hell no.
Give them your neighbor's address.
Yeah.
I'm trying right now. I don't know if I talked to you about this yet, but as try as I might, I'm still getting a ton of spam calls. And I've got an app installed, and I've had my name scrubbed and everything. I'm still getting like 3 or 4 a day, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I sit at my desk, and I've got my headphones on. My phone goes right to my headphones, and I look at the number on my phone, and it says probably spam, you know, and I'm like, sometimes they answer it. And I've decided that what I'm going to do is I want to become a legend in the spam caller world. And every time somebody calls, they're in a new episode of Ocelot Smuggler. All right, and I launch into it like we're in the middle of a conversation, and it's always the same guy. I'm pissed at somebody named Kevin. I'm like, Kevin, you motherfucker! I swear to God, if that account is not closed tomorrow, if I don't get those fucking ocelots in New Jersey by 4:00 tomorrow, I will come through this fucking phone and I will rip your balls off and feed them to. I keep going like that every time, and I keep saying ocelot over and over and over again. And my hope is that in India and the Philippines and wherever all these people are from, that they start talking about ocelot guy, right? That's who I want to be. I'm dedicated to this.
I love stuff like that. I did that once when I had a boss who could never refuse any of his superiors, This was when I was in the police department, and people would come to him with projects, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure, we can do that in 2 weeks, whatever the fucking project was." So I got all my guys who got tired of it. So I got all my guys, whenever we were in an elevator or somewhere around senior police officers, police officials, we would strike up a conversation where it would be like, these computers aren't running good, and what we really should do is paint the firewall with anti-static paint. If we painted a firewall with anti-static paint, it would make all the stuff go. It would make all the computers go faster, and it'd be much better. And I was trying so hard to get some boss to go up to him and go, "Listen, why don't you paint the firewall with anti-static paint and have a little?" That's not a real thing.
Dude, no. What he should do is he go, "Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, well,
here's the budget for that.
Get that
but
done
it has to be cash, right?" And he's like, "It's $4,000, and then you guys go have a fucking party together, And you come back and go, that firewall looks great."
The problem is he was a very, very smart guy. The only thing he couldn't do was deny when people said something to him. So I really believe it actually may have happened, and he just never said nothing to me. I believe what he would have said was, "Yeah, that's no problem. We can get it done in 2 weeks." And then 2 weeks later, he goes, "The firewall's painted." It's amazing how much improvement we've seen.
Remember that one thing you and I did, the thing with the thing?
Oh, with the
and then we did that thing with it, and and then it became a thing.
We should still do that.
What's that?
We should do it again.
I wrote one. Oops. I did a thing again, and then I lost that thing. And I literally can't find it in my electronic files. Nowhere I can't find it. So I'm not doing anything for 2 years.
Well, okay. What other things you got? I got a couple, but they're more serious, so we should save them till the end.
I mean, we already talked about my fake heart attack, right?
Yeah, last week. Oh, wait a minute. No. By the way, I'm sorry for last week's show. It was fantastic. Right. It was a fantastic show. Sorry you didn't hear it because I fucked up the sound.
Doesn't matter if we talked about it or not because no one knows what we talked about.
We didn't. Yeah, no, we didn't hear it.
I'm not going to talk about it now. But I mean, in health-related issues, my insomnia has kicked my ass over the last week. It's just I don't understand it at all. And
so have you tried melatonin?
No.
Have you tried tea with valerian root, sleepy time?
Here's what I use. Generic Benadryl. The little pink pills.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Knocks me out, man.
Really?
Yep. I forgot all about it, So for a week I'm having insomnia.
NyQuil? Drink a couple shots of NyQuil?
It doesn't work. Yeah. And my wife goes, "What about the pink pills?" I'm like, "Oh my God, where are they?" And I took one last night. Out the whole night.
You could go with it. My wife only sleeps 3 hours a day.
That's so unhealthy. It's remarkably unhealthy.
She's always done it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I went to sleep yesterday at I think 12. It was after midnight. 12:30, 12:45. I think I went to sleep. And what the hell did I do last night that was up so late? Oh, we went shopping later. We watched a movie. We watched St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh wow, that's so old, man.
You know what's weird? Okay, my wife, we were sitting there. We were starting dinner. We decided to eat in the living room. I'm like, "You want to watch something?" She goes, "Yeah, something old." Well, all right. So I turn on. I think it was Hulu. Yeah, I just turned on Hulu. Clicked on movies. First one there, St. Elmo's Fire. I'm like, "You want to watch St. Elmo's Fire?" And she goes, "Yeah." Were you watching that or something? I go, "No." She goes, "Why would it pop up first one?" I go, "I don't know. I just clicked on movies."
They heard you.
Yeah, I know. And you know what else happened today? I wake up this morning, I start looking at my news feeds, and there's an interview with Rob Lowe talking about how they are in the beginning stages of a St. Elmo's Fire sequel.
Wow. I mean, the thing is that I know I didn't hear you, when you turned on. I don't believe that. Although I do think our TVs listen to us. I don't think that it's that good.
Yeah.
And but if you did play it on Hulu, I think Hulu sells that information to Google and everybody else. And then,
Well, this didn't pop up on Google. It popped up on the Daily Caller. It was an interview with Rob Lowe.
same thing.
Yeah, but
They just
I read all. I see all the stories that pop up on Daily Caller. So
try this. Go on.
have you seen anything about ocelots lately? Since
I mean, only on the phone. You know, should I stand next to my TV and just talk about ocelots?
yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
see what happens.
I'm gonna do it. The other thing you can do is you can find a really, really weird movie. All right, on Hulu, like just weird, like the original Wicker Man or something that's
The
way
original,
out of
the original jazz singer.
yeah, something that's way out of your normal purview, right? And then see what shows up.
Yeah,
I know that right now that like my YouTube feed is always fucked up because when I'm doing research for work, right? I research all kinds of weird things for work, and then I go turn on YouTube later up to relax, and all the stuff I was researching is now what I'm looking at on video.
I something popped up on YouTube yesterday. I was watching a video popped up, the top 10 headshots in movies.
You mean like with a gun?
Yeah,
That's
and
just,
so I'm like, let's
well,
see
they know you're a cop.
let's see what their top 10 headshots are. And I like read some of them, and they were pretty interesting. They were not the one that I considered the most.
Which is
I'll tell you in a second. It's not the one that I considered the most horrific headshot. And
write it down and see if we got the same one.
although there was some that I either haven't seen or forgotten about that were pretty good. And but that was only 10. Okay, so and I sat there going, well, the one I think is the worst one is not on here. And then after I finished watching the videos, it turns out there's like 40 of them from the same channel. Apparently, the highest one I saw was episode number 40. Each one of them has 10 headshots from 10 different videos or movies or.
It's making so much money too. You know, I can pay this stuff. What's the movie?
District 13.
Oh, I thought it was going to be Deer Hunter.
Nah, I don't know. That wasn't. Nah. District 13 because it was the first time. It was the first time they that I can remember. Although having watched a couple of these videos, I see that that's not true. That it happened before that. But it's the first time I can remember where somebody just blatantly just shot a woman in the head on camera. A criminal shot a. I don't even think it was a police officer, a female victim, and it was just shocking to me. Yeah. There was one great one from Fargo. I think season 4.
Good.
Season 4. There was
Season 4 is the best season.
where this guy's on his knees begging for his life, talking about and the killer goes, nah, and pulls out his gun, and he says, and it's a man and a woman, but the man's on his knees begging for his life. The woman's just
Oh, I
standing.
remember this.
And then he goes, any last request? And she goes, all I request is that you shoot him first so I can watch. And so he goes, okay, boom, and then shoots her.
Yeah, she was like so cool. She's a great actress, by the way.
Oh.
She's a fantastic actress.
I haven't
Can't remember her
seen.
name.
That's another show. Fargo. I watched half the first season with Billy Bob Thornton and I never finished it.
Season 4 of Fargo is one of the greatest seasons of any TV show on television. It is absolutely, it is stunning in how incredibly good it is. Did you watch it all? Mm-mm. Oh, all
I
I'm
said
gonna say
I
is-
only got halfway through the first season, and then even though I liked it, just stopped watching it for
Wait a
some
minute,
reason.
if you saw that scene,
It was on the top 10 headshots.
okay. Dude, season 4 of Fargo, season 5 of Fargo is amazing too, but season 4 is like I could not. My mouth was hanging open every episode.
Really?
And it's Chris Rock is one of the main characters, and he is perfect. He's incredible. But it's all I'm going to say is it takes place in the 30s. It's like film noir. So I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
But one of the episodes is black and white. So again, I'm going to like it. But all I'm going to say is tornado. Oh my God, was it incredible? I have a thing. All right, I really
I would
really
hope so. We were married for them.
I mean, I've got 2 kids. I love black and white. I do. I prefer black and white photos. I like black and white movies. And sometimes I watch movies, I watch them in black and white. I turn my TV to black and white and watch them. And sometimes they're better that way. L.A. Confidential.
Yeah.
L.A. Confidential was shot. The director said, I am going to make a film noir, a true crime movie, as if it was 1945. I'm going to shoot it with the same kind of equipment, the same way, block everything the same way. I'm going to do it like I time traveled back in, and he did. An incredible movie, but he shot it in color. And I'm like, I read an article, and he said that, and I'm like, huh. So I turned it in black and white. Oh my God. Oh my God, is it amazing.
I think you had me watch, it was a Bruce Willis movie where he plays a private detective or hitman or something, and he gets killed in it. And it was something about New York way back after the war. And you told me to watch that in black and white.
I don't remember what movie that is.
I can't remember.
You sure it was Bruce Willis and not Tom Hanks in Redemption Road?
No, but that would be a good one.
It would, man.
You know, another one to be good would be oh shit, I can't remember now.
The Taylor, most recent movie that came out, very, very good.
Not the Taylor, the Outfit.
Yeah, that would be good.
That guy, Mark Rylance, is a great actor. I don't understand why he's not in more things.
Yeah, he is great. Well, he's in what the hell's it called? Not Ironside. Ironsides? Wait, what the hell's the name of that? He's in a film noir TV series on, I think, Cinemax, and it's not Ironsides, but that's the you know, I may be entering early senility. It may be happening right now.
Is he a lawyer in a wheelchair?
No.
Oh.
So it's not Ironsides, but it's an old TV show like that. Fucking Jesus Christ.
I'll have to look it up.
How?
Huh?
How would you do that?
Mark Rylance.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Internet database.
Right,
Which,
so-
I mean, I don't know about you, and I do know about you. We both do this. We watch television with internet database open in our hand.
I was just watching St. Elmo's Fire last night, and I'm telling Annie, I'm like, you know, it's funny. The one girl who's supposed to be the virgin was actually pregnant during filming, and St. Elmo's Fire came out the same year. So who was it? Judd Nelson, Emilio Estevez, and who's the other one?
Molly Ringwald?
No. There's three of them were in St. Elmo's Fire that were also in Breakfast Club, which was filmed the same year.
Yeah.
So they played college graduates and high school students the same year. Why am I forgetting? Oh, Andrew McCart. No, it wasn't him. Who was in Breakfast Club?
Emilio Estevez, Judd, Molly Ringwald, and that other chick whose name I can never remember.
Ali Sheedy.
Ali
She
Sheedy,
was in
yeah.
St. Elmo's Fire. All right, so this is driving me nuts now.
My wife only likes to watch old movies, not even that old, but movies about old people. And I'm like, I don't know if we should pregame this stuff, you know? I feel like that's what we're doing as a pregame. She watches that, and here's the other thing she watches. She was all into 90 Day Fiancé, and I mean like every single version of it, all right? Even the YouTube, where it's the people from the show watching episodes of other people from the show, and she would watch that. And I'm like, you realize this is like Inception, right? Now she's into these videos of women being pulled over and not obeying the cops.
Oh, yeah.
She watches them constantly, and videos of people being assholes in airports. Like, she can't get enough of it.
Motherless Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah. But that was in black and white, wasn't it?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was in black and white.
Oh,
That was a great movie.
yeah. Motherless Brooklyn.
It was in the lighting and the direction and everything in that movie was just, that's another one where they just said, we're going to do a film noir from 1951, you know, and they did. It was great.
Yeah, I've been. I've watched those where people get pulled over. I always get. I'm always get annoyed when I watch those when people are acting like assholes and they get pulled over.
Because you had to deal with it.
Yeah.
You're
But
like
I've
back at
often
work.
I did say when we first started getting body cameras that I felt like we should upload the videos to YouTube at the end of every month.
Yeah, I mean,
And they were like, well, people are going to freak out. It's a violation of First Amendment. I'm like, no, it's not. It's if we can release videos of police officers doing wrong, let's release all of them so that people can see what we have to deal with every day. And everybody's like, no, the citizens would band together and shut us down and get rid of the body camera. I'm like, well, that's their friggin' choice.
yeah. I would be with you on that thing up until the moment where I was in one. And then I'd be like, we got to shut this down.
You would not believe, but from the time, we had body-worn cameras my last 5 to 7 years because I was still downtown. I got the first batch and distributed them, and then I got sent back to a district. From the time we got the cameras, and you got to remember, body-worn cameras were a big thing that all the I don't want to say progressives, but all the anti-police people, because they believed that it would show all the times the police screwed up. Okay, many of these people are lawyers, defense lawyers. Defense lawyers specifically, well, they don't have a camera. They don't have a camera. Defense lawyers were very big on the whole thing. By the time I left, defense lawyers were actively trying to keep videos out of court because 99.9% of the time it showed the police officer doing right and their clients doing wrong. So they went from police have to have cameras to we can't be showing these videos in court. They're too prejudicial.
I just don't think people understand that the stuff that's reported, all right, is typically reported because if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
Right. That has been newspaper canon since newspapers came into existence. And so the things you see on television and everywhere are stuff that's, I'm going to use the word interesting, all right, because you're like, oh wait, what happened, and you want to watch it, but no one watches videos of like a perfectly normal traffic stop, but those are also recorded.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, you're right. Not many people want to watch, except for my wife, want to watch videos where the person who's pulled over is a jerk. You know, you don't see those on the nightly news, but if people saw that, I think they would begin to realize that maybe they were overreacting a little bit in terms of police violence. I know police violence in different places is fucking terrible.
You know what? What I wanted to do, and I sort of forgot about this when I retired, but what I wanted to do when I retired was start collecting event numbers of people acting like assholes and then FOIA the videos. So if there's any police officers that listen to this podcast,
you should do that.
like Steve Zupski, I know you're listening, buddy. If you know of any videos, send me the event numbers and I will FOIA the videos and we can play them on our channel.
I mean, you should definitely do that.
Yeah.
Man.
I just got to find them.
You know, the problem is that you know, we have generations now below us that are all ACAB, and I don't think that they understand that that's not true. You know, and they also don't understand, like, it's a little bit hypocritical because the moment something happens to them, they're all 911, you know, and then the cops show up and they think they're a waiter, you know?
Yeah.
People don't realize when the cop shows up, they're not there to serve you. They're there to handle the situation, and you might be in the wrong.
Yeah.
You know, in fact,
Well,
a lot of times you are.
that's the problem. People can never understand that they are in the wrong, and even when they do the wrong thing, they think they have a good enough reason for doing the wrong thing.
I mean, talk about entitlement. That is, when you watch these videos that my wife watches, I get sucked into them too, man. And then I start critiquing the very fact that this guy's recording, put him there, because the guy that creates a channel, he concentrates on women, and I'm like, I'm beginning to feel this is a little misogynistic here. All right, I don't see any videos of dudes, and I don't think it's right. And I'm starting to listen to the language he uses. I'm like, I don't think I like this guy, but whatever. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, I don't know. So, well, I think we should do that. We should try to find videos because, you know, one of the things I enjoy, I usually enjoy reading them, but there's a woman who does a podcast or a YouTube channel, the What Am I the Asshole thing, where she reads the letters of the Am I the Asshole and then discusses whether the person is an asshole.
I'm opposed to that.
Why?
Okay, so you're reading this stuff off of Reddit, all right?
Yeah.
That's where they're doing it. I don't think it's fair because the person that wrote the Am I the Asshole thing, They wrote it on Reddit. If you do it on a money-making channel, you should pay them. But I don't think anybody like
they all do it
BuzzFeed does all this all the time. And,
They probably do it anonymously though. Most of them are anonymous that I read
oh well,
because they don't want people to know who they are.
they're so great.
I know.
Because every time you're like,
Here, let's do
you
one.
you are the asshole.
Not always. Not always.
My problem with them is that I can never really figure it out, and that upsets me a little bit. I'm like, I don't know if you're the asshole. I don't know what I would do in that situation. I turned my phone into a dumb phone this week
Why?
because my screen time is way too high, and so I changed the way I interface with it, and I turned off the color so it's black and white, so that I don't really want to look at it, you know. And my screen time is taking a nosedive, so that's pretty good.
I'm just looking. I'm just opening it up to see if.
But Reddit is one of the places where I rabbit hole on that thing so much.
Well, here's one. This one you'd actually like. Today, my fiance and I argued about the term hypertrophy and its focus. He believes it's primarily involved in muscular stamina and endurance, while I know it's mainly about muscle growth. The disagreement escalated. I got frustrated, saying, I studied this shit, so I know what it means. He rebutted with, well, my dad studied this and he succeeded, so shrug.
He succeeded?
This comment hurt my feelings because it felt like he was disregarding my credibility, despite knowing how much my effort I put into my fitness. Also, it just felt like he was trying to just say something to hurt me. After a moment, I opened up to him and told him how the comment hurt me. He responded, I was just bouncing the ball back to you because you started with, I studied this shit, blah, blah, blah. Going by logic, I just passed the ball back. So if you don't like that kind of reaction, then don't start it.
Ooh, that's a doomed relationship right there.
Yeah. It goes on much freaking longer.
What's she trying to find out? Where was she an asshole in that thing? They're both assholes.
If she's given a taste of his logical medicine, I don't know. It just sounds like. Actually, though, what he said sounds to me like what women would call mansplaining, and you can't win.
You just, when you said that, you looked at me and you slowed down. And you said
Mansplaining.
Yeah. I'm always worried that I'm doing that.
Actually, you know what I worry about, what I do all the time, is my wife will start to say something. She'll start to tell me a story about something she saw in the news or something like that. This happened last night, and I've been really trying to not do it because I recognize it's just a fucking problem with me. I'm trying to remember the topic. Anyway, she starts to explain something she saw in the news, and then I interrupt her to give what I think about what she's talking about because I've already seen the story. So I don't let her finish. And usually, it turns out, if she doesn't let me interrupt her and tells me that wherever she was going was not what I was not properly responding to what she was about to say.
Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is she does let me interrupt her and we go off on a tangent, and then I'm thinking back later thinking,
You're the tangent master.
yeah. And then I think back later saying, was that what she wanted to talk about? And so I've been trying not to do that.
It's a difficult thing to do because if you're eager to be in the conversation, if it's something you're interested in, you definitely want to put your stuff out there. But it is a mindfulness practice what you're doing to think about it beforehand and not and consciously try to not do that. That's a very conscientious thing to do. Kudos to you for that.
Well, I'll try. I'm not all that. Although I have been successful with the. She started a new, same job, but she started a new thing at her job that she's had to learn, and it's a new facet of building management. Whatever.
Paid more?
No, and but it's more likely that they'll let her do her job remotely when we move. So that's why she. But anyway, and so she comes home and she starts telling me stories about it. Now I start off half these fucking things going, I don't want to hear this bullshit. And I find myself, because I'm trying to be a good husband, and I just sit there and listen, and I don't have nothing. It's not like I don't have nothing to say. It's either I turn the TV on or we talk. So I'll start listening. And a lot of times I find myself, despite my initial, is getting interested in some of this shit. But usually it's like it's dealing with leasing and leases and people trying to rent apartments, and I find myself getting annoyed usually by the same thing she's getting annoyed with, and I'm like, do I want to talk about stuff that annoys me? But a lot of times also I find it interesting because it's something I've never dealt with before. And won't really have to do. You know what I'm saying. You ever discuss topics that you have nothing to do with?
Every time my wife talks about work,
Yeah.
my wife's job is so alien to me.
See, I would figure I would see. I've always been interested in the law, and I read a lot of lawyer stuff. I probably would find those conversations more interesting.
She doesn't talk about law.
Oh,
It's always talking about people.
Relationship shit.
Well, it's talking about this guy did this, and then this guy did this, and now I have to do this. It's never about the actual law. And when she'll talk with her sister, who's also a lawyer, about actual law. And I got to tell you, you may find it interesting, but I find it astonishingly tedious. The lawyers are attack librarians. Let's get that right. All right, they are the nerdiest nerds you'll ever find because they have to spend a considerable amount of time focused on an incredibly small aspect of, let's say, a business deal. Which is usually why my wife is losing her shit because she will tell person A who wants to throw down like in a $10 million contract, she goes, "This is a great idea. Before you sign, let me review it, and then let's send it to this other person for review." And they're like, "Sure," and then they sign it. And she's like, "Why'd you do that?" You're like, "We don't want to lose the sale." She's like, "Yeah, but because you did that, we're now in a precarious situation.
Yeah.
It's bad business." And
Hang on a second.
no. I was like, "What's this?"
And we're back. So I think everybody should buy whatever product from whatever company just advertised.
Definitely, I have 2 of them.
Yeah. I can't say much. I can't speak more highly of that.
That thing.
Whatever that was that just showed. All right. So, what were we talking about?
Ring doorbells.
Okay, let's go to Ring doorbells. Yes.
Yeah, I had one put in today. I've had it for 3 years.
Why? Wait, what?
It's been sitting in my closet for 3 years. I have 2 of them actually, and it's just I looked at how to install it, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm like, well, I'll be able to. I'll just figure it out. I'll look at YouTube videos and figure it out and everything. And like,
I've done 2 of them.
yeah, it's not hard, but
No.
I'm not a tool guy, Dave. All right, I am not a tool guy. Okay.
For those of you who are listening, I wanted to go over there with a camera and have him do it and talk us through it, and then laugh at the
Well,
result.
I mean, you would be able to because here's how bad I am with tools. When I still lived in Florida, all right, when I only had my daughter, she was an infant and everything, and we had it. My wife has a history of rescuing dogs. Ugh. So she rescued this dog. It was gigantic. And I'm like, well, it needs a doghouse. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to build it a doghouse. So I went and I got all the stuff, I went in my backyard and I put it together, and the dog wouldn't go in it. And I'm like, what the heck, And I went over and what's wrong with this thing? And I just tapped it like that. The whole thing fell apart. It was like when it comes to tools, I am fully Homer Simpson. And I am incapable of doing anything with a tool. It is. I don't even know what the last thing. I had a guy come over and change my kitchen light, and I've changed kitchen lights before.
You mean the light bulb?
No.
Oh.
Okay, come on, man. I did finally figure out how to get my smart bulbs working, and then we changed our Wi-Fi, and now you can't do a new one because the Wi-Fi is too powerful for it. Yeah, so I only have one smart bulb. It's cool, but
All right, a tangent alert. Let's go back to the Ring
Tangent
doorbell.
alert.
So,
yeah, so I get the Ring doorbell on there, and I go through the steps to set it up so I can use it.
well, who'd you call?
Ghostbusters,
No.
TaskRabbit.
TaskRabbit. You call TaskRabbit, which is not a sponsor of our podcast, but if they would like to be, just reach out.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we've both used it several times in the past couple
I
months.
love it. I do, man. I am using it for everything. I used it. Here's the thing. There's these jobs that I've had that have been sitting there for years and years because it's big, because my back hurts, because I don't want to do it, because whatever. For instance, we had a storage container or storage unit since COVID, right? Because our house flooded. Long story. We had to put everything in storage from the basement. And then we kept adding to it. We never brought anything back. Then this year, my wife was like, "We gotta get rid of it." You know, and I, you know, last year I said I want to go to Oxford. She goes, cool, but before you go, you got to get rid of our storage unit because that's how much money it's going to cost. And I'm like, all right, this is fine. I'm like, I'll have it done next week. Year later, haven't done it. So I'm sitting around and I'm like, wait a minute. Like, why do I do this work? Like, I have people cut my yard, I have people pick up my dog poop. Why am I going to go move some boxes? I can't move boxes. I have a broken back. So I call it TaskRabbit, and this 21-year-old Ukrainian kid comes out, and he's like, I got it. And I'm like, it's going to take you all day. He goes, I don't think so. I'm like, whatever. So I'm sitting in my office, right? I can see him working in my garage, because the first thing he had to do was reorganize my garage. And I'm like, if you can just get like 6 feet on this side, that's probably enough. He goes, can you come out and look at this? I go, that dude had reorganized everything and gave me half my garage back.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, let's go get the stuff. So he unloaded everything from my storage unit and brought it back and stacked it and filled the rest of my garage with it. And I still have space for like my snowblower and everything. I'm like, what the fuck? Do not do things yourself. Call TaskRabbit, man. So I had to install a mailbox. We got a brand new mailbox, you know? And I'm like, that was going to require tools. And I'm like, that's going to take me all day. I'm like, I got better things to do with my time. I have a lot of stuff to write, you know? I could be billing while someone else is doing the job for way less than I'm billing. You know, I bill $350 for a story. That guy's $87 to install something. I'm like, fucking hell, that's worth it. And so I stacked it. I had a mailbox and a Ring doorbell. That took exactly how much time I was paying him for. Dude came over, put them together. Now everything's fine, except I go to hook it up, you know, with my app and everything, and it goes, you already have an account. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So then I go to, like, I spent a lot of time logging in today to Ring Door, because I have 2 Ring doorbells. I bought them at different times. I bought the second one forgetting I had the first one, and then still didn't install the second one. So I had 2 sitting in my closet downstairs. I had created accounts for both of them on different emails, and I could not log in. I finally got logged in, right? Finally. I made up a brand new account with one of my weirdo emails that's like, you know, 5th tier email. And it goes, is the white light spinning, right? I'm like, no. And it goes, okay, press the button on the side. I'm like, God damn it. You can't press the button on the side because it's pressed up against molding. And it's already installed. And I can't, like, get in there and do it. I don't even know what to do now. Either I have to take the whole thing off, which I'm not going to do. All right?
Wait, there's no button on the side. You have to take the front cover off.
Take the front cover off, and there's a button on the side. And you press that button. I don't know what it does, but there's a video, dude. It shows somebody doing it, and I'm like, I can't because I can't.
Well, you can get a flathead screwdriver and just
maybe that's what I'm. That's the rest of my day.
Or my pipe tool.
That might work.
Yeah.
You know? I've got one. Yeah. So
Yeah, sure.
yeah. Look at that right there.
Yeah.
So, but now I'm thinking of all the other things that I'm going to be calling TaskRabbit for. You know. Now I'm thinking about my basement. My basement's a fucking nightmare. You know? Like, why not just call a TaskRabbit guy and have him go down and reorganize it for me? That same Ukrainian kid, he's like, how do you want it? I'm like, you do it. You figure it out. I don't care. I just want to be able to walk around down there, you know, and put things away.
Yeah, maybe I'll start doing that to fix up the house since we're obviously not going to sell it.
Really?
No, nobody's buying it. Nobody's interested.
You know, let your kids rent it?
Well, I was saying, we got to start thinking about what we're going to do if we don't sell it. And she's not at that point yet. She's telling me I am an idiot, basically. Of course, we're going to sell it eventually.
It's a tough time, you know.
It's not supposed to be.
Yeah, well,
there are a lot of people looking.
I think your house is fine. I think you ought to buy Dave's house. Please buy Dave's house.
Yeah.
But yeah, TaskRabbit is really amazing, and I want to start using it for all the things that I don't like about my house. I'm going to hire somebody to reorganize my kitchen. I am. We're going to put a deck on the back of our house. Long story. Definitely should not be the first thing we do to spend a lot of money on our house, but that's what's happening because my dog is old.
Yeah.
When my dog goes down the back steps, sometimes he falls. And it breaks my wife's heart. So she wanted to put in like a ramp, and by the time we got done, it's a whole deck, right?
You know, the other thing is if your dog's having that much trouble.
Oh, that's going to happen soon. So, but we have a bunch of plants and this one particular, this hydrangea that's really beautiful. We don't want to get rid of it, but we have to get rid of that stuff to put the deck there. So, and he says also if you can move your air handler. I'm like, what do you mean move it? And he goes, yeah, it's if you move it, I can extend the deck here. It'll look really cool. I'm like, you can't move this because yeah, you can. And so I called them up. They're going to move it, and my yard guys are going to take out all the plants and move the one plant, and they're going to dig up my garden and get rid of it because it looks like hell. I don't know why I'm talking about this. You know what else you can do with TaskRabbit? Christmas decorations.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
You know, I'm going to do it this year. I'm going to just say, blow this shit out. I want to be able to see it from space. All right? Here's $500. Fuck that shit up.
All right. I want to switch to topics. I sent you a story. Did you read it?
No. Wait, when did you send me a story?
I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
All right, what's it about? Not a couple of weeks ago.
July 24th. It's about Norman Mailer.
I think I did look at that. What about Norman Mailer?
So there's I was reading the Atlantic, and there's a story written by a guy named, or a girl named, I don't know, Gal Beckerman, Gal. That could be a guy or a girl.
Solve a problem like Norman Mailer.
Yeah. And so it's a documentary about Norman Mailer, which was interesting. I don't know anything about. I didn't know anything about Norman Mailer.
He's an asshole.
Well, yeah, but I mean, really, how was he an asshole? He stabbed his wife. Who among us? But anyway, he was complicated, and this documentary taught like his kids love him. So I don't know.
If your kids love you, then probably what people are saying in the media is incorrect.
Well, and his thing was, or at least according to this review in this documentary, is that he wanted to live like. I can't believe I forgot his name now. The other.
Hemingway?
Hemingway. He wanted to live like Hemingway. And so he tried to live his life like that out loud or whatever. Like confrontation, that kind of thing. So it sounds like an asshole. But this documentary, first of all, if you get a chance to read the review is so well written. It kept me...
Well, it's the Atlantic.
It kept me interested throughout. A movie review.
That
it was
crazy. What you should do is you should print that story out, and you should go through it and break down why that works, because it is not just about the story. That is a matter of craft.
Yeah.
Oh, a writer at the top of their game.
Yeah, it very well written. And anyway, so this documentary, I'm like, oh, no, I want to see this documentary now. Well, it's playing. It's called How to Come Alive with Norman Mailer. The director is Jeff Zimbalist, and it is not in theaters. It's like you have to either find it won the best documentary from the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. I didn't even know there was an Atlanta Jewish Film Festival. So you can find play dates like in different venues, but basically what they're trying to do is have people bring the film and to an organization. You have to rent the theater and get the people to show up and whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So there's none in Chicago, and I'm like, hey, maybe we should.
Be here.
Oh, I was thinking maybe we should do it.
It'll be at the Cena, whatever it's called, or the Music Box. I'm not doing that.
It's nowhere in Illinois.
Yeah, I can't. Like I told you, I'm not starting any new projects.
Oh.
That would take so much work. I'm not going to do it.
Well, if it comes here, we gotta see it, because it really. But if you ever get a chance, read the Atlantic. The Atlantic's article, Gal Beckerman.
I tell you what, though, if I was, that does bring up an interesting thing, because Norman Mailer was he was one of the great mid-century authors, of the 20th century. He was kind of a legend for a lot of it. His books were great, but also he was, like I said, he was trying to be a swashbuckling, writer kind of guy. He's one of the guys that sort of galvanized that idea of the male writer as like an anti-hero, kind of cool, and but I don't like that thing, because I think that really
you're not cool and you're a writer.
I think really I don't see someone like Norman Mailer to me. That's not the kind of successful writer I would want to be, because so much of the emphasis is, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't know enough about it, but so much of the emphasis is on lifestyle and stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, not enough of it is on work. And to me, everything is about work. I've just now in my career finally gotten a method that is going to match my desired productivity level. I'll be able to finally do 2 books a year, maybe 3 books a year. All right? Is what I've been doing since you and I put a book out.
Yeah.
Thank you. And but I finally got it down. I finally figured out how to do it. Like, I have my method now. And but I wouldn't want to do anything else. Like, I look at James Patterson. I think his books are stupid. I don't like them. And he's doing he runs basically a manufacturing company.
A factory, yeah.
Because he has like 8 writers that he outlines everything meticulously, then he hands it to somebody and they fill it in. Whatever. But that dude works, he's in his 80s. He works 77 hours a week writing. And I'm like, I would do that.
Yeah.
I would rather, there's nothing I would rather do than be sitting at my desk either reading because I'm going to write something about what I'm reading, or writing. That's all I want to do. And right now, that's kind of all I do. I have my fucking routine down. I've got my method down. I'm producing like I've never produced before. And I don't understand like somebody like Hemingway or Mailer or some of those other guys, where for them it's almost like being a celebrity writer is more important to me. You know, I just don't get it.
It's like the people who are famous for being famous. They don't actually do anything.
Well, maybe,
But he does. They do. In their cases, they do things, but then half their time is spent capitalizing on what they do.
Look at Philip Roth. All right,
Who?
is that the right name?
Oh, the
Philip Roth?
science fiction guy.
No, he's a literary writer. No, not Roth. Fuck.
And we're out of time. No.
I can't remember his name. But
This is the kind of preparation that goes into one of these
that's right.
shows.
It's meticulous. Unlike my writing, I plan all of. I'm planning now as I talk. Right there. All right. You know what? I can't fucking. Whoever wrote Portnoy's Complaint, look that up. Hey Siri, who wrote Portnoy's Complaint? Hey Siri, who wrote Portnoy's Complaint?
And everybody who has Siri now just.
Wouldn't that be great? This should be our show. Just us looking at
Hey Siri, skip to the next episode of B Cubs Guy.
Hey Siri, who wrote Portnoy's Complaint?
Why didn't, you could have typed it in.
No, why would I spend all the time typing it in? Yeah, Philip Roth. All right. Now I forgot what I'm talking about. Fuck. I hate being old.
Because he spends half his time not writing.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's terrible.
All right, one last topic. I saved this for last
politics?
because I'm sure that you didn't do what I told you to do.
Fuck, what was I supposed to do?
Watched or listened to the J.D. Vance interview with Megyn Kelly last Friday?
No, I didn't do that.
Oh. All right. Well,
It's politics. Besides, I'm enjoying
it's
making
politics.
fun of him
It's
with-
politics, but it's really about the media because I don't understand this. All right. So last week, a quote recircled
Hey,
it.
don't do that with your beard.
Why?
That is
Oh.
scary looking. Don't ever do that.
J.D. Vance in 2021 made a comment about how the Democratic Party's the country's being taken over by childless cat ladies who are in a bad mood, so they want everybody else to be in a bad mood.
Yeah.
And all right, so first of all, this has been first of all, what ticked me off about this is I don't think anybody would disagree with the fact that this has been the weirdest political year maybe in history of the United States,
is unusual.
at least in our lifetimes. Do we really have to go back 3 years to a recycled quote from a guy who was running for Senate back then? There's not anything else going on this week. But anyway, it's fair.
It is
It's
fair.
fair. I'm not saying it's not
It's a
fair.
grown-up game. This is not.
I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm only saying it's like the media cannot be bothered to look up any quotes by Kamala Harris, but they can find J.D. Vance's quote. Well, whatever. It's fair game. I don't think it's fair, but it's fair game. Anyway, I got sucked in because the only thing I heard about this was what the media was saying about this. All right, about him using the term childless cat ladies to talk about women without children. And I was like, it was like all week there were stories about this. In a week where the president dropped out of the fucking race and somebody tried to kill his opponent, this is what we're talking about. But anyway, it was all over the media. And I watch a lot of news shows, including Two-Way, which is really kind of down the middle, kind of cool. They have Two-Way. It's Mark Halperin's new Zoom meeting that I kind of...
talking about that.
And so a lot of people were talking about this quote. And I was like, all right, it was 3 years ago. It's a stupid quote. He should go on and apologize for the quote. Talk about his, apologize for the quote. And so he booked on Megyn Kelly on Friday afternoon, and I decided to listen because I was driving in a car, so I had time. So I'm listening to the Megyn Kelly show, and I realized I got sucked in by the media. I couldn't believe it. I was like, the first thing they did when they had him on was play the whole quote in the context of what he said, because everybody, one of the things we're talking about is how terrible this is, because there's a lot of people out there who are trying to have kids and can't, and to make them feel like shit, which really does bother me. If somebody's trying to do IVF and they're trying to have kids, or they're adopting, or they're step parents or whatever, they're parents, and I thought that was it's a really rude thing to say, and he should just apologize for it and move on, and put aside the going back 3 years for a dumbass quote. And then so I'm listening to this quote, and I'm like, listen to the context, everything he said during that speech, and I'm like, what a bunch of assholes. They sucked me into this, because when he said it, he specifically said, I'm not talking about people who are trying to have kids and can't. I'm not talking about people who adopt kids and raise them as their own. I'm not talking about people like that. I'm not talking about step parents. I'm not talking about people who specifically choose not to have children. And he says, one of the things we're doing that's bad is we're telling our kids that the climate is going to end and they shouldn't have any kids. And we're telling people that their career is more important and they shouldn't have kids. And people are making a conscious choice not to have children. And his point was, as he went on to explain, in the quote, he also followed up by repeating all this, but in the original statement that he made 3 years ago, he was saying, we need a next generation. A society cannot function if you don't have children. You can't import them. You can't import a culture. You have to have children and raise them. So
Disagree.
this was in response. What it was in response to is and none of the media ever said what it was in response to. What it was in response to was people who were trying to get rid of the child tax credit. And his point was, you should have that credit if you are raising children. Because what people were saying was, hey, if we choose not to have children, we shouldn't have to pay more taxes than people who choose to have children. The child tax credit has been around forever. We should be encouraging people to have kids. And so that's what and then he made the comment, he goes, it's like you look at the Democratic Party and they're a bunch of childless cat ladies, which is a stupid thing to say. But his larger point, which was never talked about in any of the media reports all last week, was I thought a very good point. And I don't understand why you disagree with that. Why?
About importing culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
No, but
You can't import an existing culture. You can't import your own culture.
Yeah.
Your culture can be replaced by an imported culture.
Yeah, but do we want to do that?
Yeah, it's going to happen anyway.
But
I mean, if
you look at all of Western societies, the birth rate is low. In America, it's lower than 1.
Yeah.
And you can't have. I do agree that you have to look at Lubin. He's got 8 kids, for Christ's sake. Now that's a family that's going to thrive.
Afford it. A reason a lot of people aren't having kids is because they can't afford it.
You can't afford it. You can never afford it.
Okay.
Are you telling me when you had your first kid you could afford it?
I mean-
Fuck no.
We did all right.
Yeah, but you didn't know that. You didn't make a choice based on that.
We made our choices were conscious. Our kids were not accidental. We made a conscious choice to have our children. We did look at our budget and everything.
Did you delay because of it?
Did we what?
Did you delay having kids?
No, when my wife was like, I want to have babies, I was like, I don't think we can afford it. And she goes, no, check it out. But my wife made good money even then, you know. But if you look at back then, the discrepancy between income and the cost of living was not like it is now. Now it really is pretty intense. You know?
Yeah, but you know what? I think people choose to have children or they choose not to have children. You can say it's because of money, or you can say it's because of climate or whatever.
Well, a lot of people are doing it specifically because of the cost of living. They said, I already have 2 jobs just so I can afford like a single bedroom apartment. Why would I bring kids into this?
Yeah, but that'll always be that same way. Then you're I'm working 2 jobs so I can find a single bedroom apartment and in this nice neighborhood and take a trip
When
every.
my wife and I bought our first house, we each only had 1 job, and mine wasn't great, you know. But it's because the cost of housing back then was nowhere near as imbalanced as it is now. The cost of housing right now is way imbalanced. It's insane.
We couldn't afford.
Insanely imbalanced.
We couldn't afford to buy a house when we had a first kid. The reason we afforded to buy a house is because I got hit by a car and got a $20,000 settlement that we used as a down payment. I mean, but we had the kid. We had my son. You figure it out. And my point is that no matter how much money you make, you do not understand the cost that it's going to be children. And most people, I don't think, base.
It's all your money.
Yeah, I don't think most people base their decision to have
Most people
children.
have kids because they weren't thinking when they were banging each other.
No, I think most people get married because they want to have a family, and then they figure out how to work it out. I don't think people make a choice the way you're saying.
I think if you looked at surveys right now of people that are not having children, one of the number one reasons they're not doing it is because they can't afford a family.
I agree with that, and that's my point. You're kind of making my point is that that's wrong.
What do you mean it's wrong?
They're never going to be able to afford it. You can't budget children in, because even if you do, you might not get pregnant that
Okay,
month.
but if somebody says I'm looking at my budget and there's no way I can afford a child, that's a reasonable thing. If my wife and I had looked at it and said we can't do it right now, we wouldn't have.
And what if you just kept putting it off and never had kids?
Then we wouldn't have kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have kids.
Oh well, we wanted to have a family.
I met him, and
I
I
think
like my
most
kids.
people who have kids would say that while they wanted to have kids, they didn't specifically plan out, what month they were going to have kids or what year they were going to have kids based on their salary. Because I think that if you started doing it, you're never really going to have enough. And I think there are people that are not having kids because they think because of climate change, they don't want to bring kids into their world. Now, granted, those people are fucking idiots, but it's still, they're being taught that by somebody. And that was his point. He goes, we have to be teaching kids how wonderful it is to have kids, because it really does change your life. I mean, it is.
Maybe he should be working towards reducing the imbalance of income and cost of living.
Well, he's not in a position to do that, but
If
that's.
he's going to become vice president.
But I think that is one of their arguments.
Maybe he should start talking about that in his efforts to become vice president.
Well, I think they are talking about that, but I think
I hear a lot about couch fucking.
Yeah, I know. No shit, right? Isn't that stupid? Now, okay, now here, that is stupid. In a year where we have all this
for about
shit,
an hour and a half.
yeah, in a year where we have serious issues, that is stupid. Now they are. Let me put it this way too. They are talking about reducing. They are talking about reducing inflation, figuring out a better way to do cost of living. I think that most people would agree that the government can only hurt you. They can't help you.
I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah. I think reasonable
I'm a
people would
huge
agree.
believer in government. I think government is wonderful. You and I are the government. I think the government does the best job it can most of the time.
But they don't create jobs, and they don't raise income, and all they can do is take income. They can only tax you. They can only take your money and use it for something else.
I don't believe that at all. I believe that the government can and does make choices that affect people's incomes. It affects how their incomes are spent. It affects how their incomes are brought in. Right now, one of the best things the government could do is make sure we have universal health care, and B, make sure people are paid an appropriate amount of money per hour, which nobody is. No one's paid the right amount of money. $15 an hour is an insult. It's a ridiculous amount of money.
But if every time they raise the minimum wage, businesses close, or you go to McDonald's and have
because
to.
those businesses, they close because their business model was based on an imbalance. But not every business closes. A lot of people have raised the income in their businesses, and their businesses did just fine.
Okay, and if you go right now in Chicago, they're raising over the next couple of years the minimum wage of waiters and waitresses, basically to get rid of tipping.
I think that's a bad idea.
Why?
Well, because I know a lot of people in the industry, and that the high per hour income that they're going to make is never going to match what they were making on tipping.
Exactly. I agree.
Okay,
absolutely
but
agree.
People in shitty restaurants, it's going to help them. But people in good restaurants,
Well,
like a guy that's a waiter at, let's say, Alinea, all right, that guy makes $1,000 a day.
Yeah, we were just talking about Wildberry. Apparently, the guy who works at Wildberry is making like $4,000 a month. But the point is that those people are going to get screwed by this government action, and the people who go to the restaurant are now going to have to pay higher basic rates. They're going to have to raise the prices because their costs are going up. You can't have a business and not make money. There's no point.
No, that's true.
So that means that
But a
less
business
people
should pay its workers an appropriate wage.
Okay.
I know you're using the thing for restaurants, but I think that's kind of in a way, because of the way restaurants have always been structured based on tipping instead of an hourly wage. It's kind of a species argument. I mean, let's talk about a company that makes windows instead.
Well, I don't know. I don't personally know
There
any.
is a company here in Chicago that makes windows.
Yeah.
And I didn't pick it for any reason. I just pulled it out of my ass. But if their employees are not making are being paid an hourly wage that is significantly below what should be an hourly wage, then their employees are not being paid enough, and that company's profit is based on an imbalance between the bottom line of the company and the bottom line of the workers, and I think that's inappropriate. Now, I come from a union family, and we've always fought for workers' rights. That's my whole life. That's what I believe in.
But the problem is that I've been in a union my entire life. The point is, though, and I had arguments when we were going that we were demanding too much in the way of.
Your company that you work for isn't a profit-based company, though.
No, it's the government.
Yeah.
But the other thing is,
You guys weren't. You never paid enough. You're not paid enough.
I think all right, wait. Let's get back to Windows. The point is, though, is that what you sound like you're saying is that you think that because there's an imbalance, because the lowest paid workers aren't making enough, that the government should come in and say you have to pay these workers more. And
Something like that.
my problem is that there's always going to be people who think that that's not enough, and the way the free market, the way it works out is like, and we've seen it since COVID, where people are having a hard time finding people to work in companies, and so they have to pay more to do that. But if you have a government mandated wage that comes in, first of all, let me ask you this: have you tried replacing windows lately? They're fucking expensive as hell. I have not replaced windows in my house in 10 years because they're too expensive to replace. 2 of them I need replacement, and that's because the prices are so way up. So if you raise their salary, and then they have to charge more for the windows, then people like me are getting screwed because we're not buying windows.
Maybe.
So in the end, somebody gets screwed somewhere.
Maybe.
And so the only thing the government can do is screw somebody somewhere.
Maybe.
And that's wrong.
I don't think it's wrong.
I think stay out of the way.
No. Absolutely not.
Without setting a floor is fine. I disagree with the
Well, I'm
raise.
talking about setting a
I disagree with it. No, you're talking about correcting an imbalance. There's a difference.
I don't see that as different.
It is different.
I don't see it as different. The floor, there should be the minimum wage, all right, should be significant.
Wait, when you say, what do you think the minimum wage should be?
I think the last time I saw the minimum wage should be such that a person who's working a full-time minimum wage job should be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment and all their expenses, basic living expenses, on that income.
In what neighborhood?
Well, I mean,
See, that's the thing. You start looking at, okay, if you make this much money,
somewhere.
then you might have to. If you make minimum wage, then you might have
There's
to.
people that are way smarter than you and me that figure this stuff out.
Yeah,
right?
but there's
and one
people. Those people argue about it all the time,
Yeah,
and so
but they come to a, like, this is our current understanding of what it ought to be.
I've never heard anybody say this is our. Well, let me put it this way. I've heard people on both sides say this is our current understanding
Here's
of
what I
things.
don't understand about your argument is why you're so passionate about people not getting paid enough. Why don't you want people to get paid?
I do want people to get paid enough, but I think people get paid more when they're not mandated by the government, because the government not only
When does
sets a
that
floor.
ever happen?
Anybody who makes the minimum wage. If you keep raising minimum wage, like my son is in the restaurant business, which is notoriously, I mean, especially for back
Always a
people.
terrible example.
It's always, but not waiters. I'm talking about the people who work in the kitchen and stuff. Notoriously low pay. Every time they raise the minimum wage, he gets a raise. But they don't raise. If he wants a raise beyond that, he's got to change jobs, because there is no incentive for restaurant people to raise the wage if they know that down the road next year there's another minimum wage coming, minimum wage raise coming.
But if they're paying the minimum wage, that's good.
No, they should be able to work based on their hard work and get higher paid. Minimum wage should be for entry level people. Beyond that, you should not be trying to raise a family and buy a one bedroom apartment on a
think
minimum
that-
wage.
that-
My 18-year-old going to college should be making minimum wage. She shouldn't be making minimum wage after she's been there 2 years.
I mean, that's a choice that a business makes, and it's not a good choice, you know.
It's not a good choice.
Look,
And-
when I was a manager and I hired people, this was in the year 2001. All right, it was the first time I hired somebody, and we were paying them at that time $7.25 or $7.50 an hour. That was in 2001.
yeah.
That didn't change for almost 20 years.
All right. So
That's not enough money. It wasn't enough money then. It was a terrible amount of money then.
All right, I
And
agree.
Nobody that we hired could. Every single person that worked for me had a second job.
and eventually they left to get a better paying job.
Well, okay, yeah, and here's the thing: that was a problem for us. If we had paid them more, and we should have, if we had paid them more, they would have stayed, and we would have.
Do you mind? Can you say where
Barnes
is?
and Noble.
Okay, how's Barnes and Noble doing now?
They're actually doing pretty good right now.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing great. Barnes and Noble is opening new stores. They changed.
I
their
thought the whole book industry was
No, the book
taking a
industry's
dump.
coming back. Barnes and Noble right now, they changed their model and they're doing much better. Of course, their main competitor went out of business like 8 years ago, you know. But still, Barnes and Noble is doing just fine.
I wonder if their lowest paid people are still making minimum wage, or if they're making minimum wage after they've been there for 6 months.
6 months, I don't think anybody would get a raise. But in our store, I regularly gave people raises at least once a year. And we were told if your people are good, if they deserve a raise, here's how much you can give them.
Did you not give somebody a raise because they weren't good?
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? Hell
You can't do that now.
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't.
What do you mean you can't?
If you start giving somebody a raise and you don't give another person a raise, they're going to complain.
That's okay if they complain. You can say you didn't get the raise because you didn't earn the raise.
Yeah, nowadays they don't let you do that.
I
anymore.
think that's an urban myth right there.
Maybe.
It was pretty regular that not only did I not give people raises, I frequently would cut people's hours. You know, I would say, look, I'm sorry, but you suck.
Yeah, no, I've heard of that, especially in the bar industry, restaurant industry, which
The
is
thing about Barnes & Noble is an excellent example because it's corporate retail. All right, so it's an enormous company, big, similar, not as big as, let's say, Walmart, right? But there were two things that we were trying to do. One is we wanted to attract employees who read. That was kind of a thing. Like if you work for us, you're like, what were the books? I would interview people and say, what books are you reading? If they said, well, I don't really read that much, I'd be like, it's been nice talking to you. Like you got to have somebody that reads, right?
Yeah.
And but after they worked there for a year or so, if there was a space open and they had been a really good employee, like we like working with this person, they do a great job, they show up, they're not a fucking weirdo, then you would advance, and the advancement was not bad.
Well, but and that's to a certain extent that's the way it's going to be. But the government's not going to help you do that. Like I right now I work a part-time job at Enterprise. I do it, basically to keep me off Amazon. But I work with kids. There's some kids that work there. A lot of people that do what I do are retired, but a lot of them are kids. And I regularly get emails from the people at Enterprise with jobs. Who do you want to try and go up? And you go talk to your manager. You can, within 6 months. All right, you start off at minimum wage, which in Chicago is $16 an hour. But within 6 months, if you get through and you don't get any problems, and they start opening up jobs at the airport that make $20 an hour, well, you can go get that job. Now, that's not minimum wage. You're getting a promotion. You're getting a raise. But if you, I mean, that's the way business should work. You should try to promote these people.
To a degree.
Yeah. But
no one's
those,
saying that no one should be promoted.
no, but what I'm saying is that these kids who are starting off at minimum wage, I think, I'm trying to figure out a way to say this. I think that you're looking at it that people who make minimum wage should not continue in jobs where they make minimum wage.
Why not?
So, because they should be moving on to a better job. Because some jobs,
They're not a kind of person that does that.
then you have to work hard to get more.
Yeah, I mean,
Because basically, you're talking about why don't we just have a universal basic income
don't get me started
of
on that.
$50,000 a year? Everybody should make $50,000 a year.
That's a great idea.
Except we don't have that much money.
It's working in a lot of places.
No, it's not. It's not
Yeah,
working
the
in
fuck
any
it is.
place.
Look it up. It has worked very well. In the United States, it's worked very well.
No, it didn't work here in Chicago.
It doesn't mean it can't work. It means it didn't work that time. I think it's a fine idea.
I think it's not.
Here's the thing. Here's the difference between you and me right now. And
'Cause
this is something that I don't understand.
People will raise the prices of everything.
Here's what I don't understand about a lot of arguments like this, and that is that to me, the most important and the most valuable part of the whole puzzle in the economy of the United States is the human beings. That's the most important part, is the human beings. All right, the people. For every decision you make, the people is where you start. To me, that's what it is. I mean, I'm a Democrat, maybe that's why, but to me, I can't see it in any other way. So every decision to me should be made in such a way that the people should be getting the best of everything. Look at some there are other countries that do it just fine.
No, I don't.
Look at
I
Japan.
don't
They
see.
have high-speed rails. Everyone does. No one's suffering because they have that. In fact, everyone's life is made way, way better because of it.
The thing is though is that I think that people do better when there is incentive to do better.
You know what? There's no doubt that incentive is important.
But if you're trying to take away the incentive,
I am not at all trying to.
you're
take
trying to
it.
say
No,
everybody
I'm not.
should get paid this amount of money.
No, I'm not saying everyone should get paid that amount of money. I'm saying that the least amount of money anyone should get paid is enough that they can have the most basic living. In other words, people should be able to live their life, all right, on one job.
All right. But you don't think that there are jobs that 16-year-olds should do when they're first starting out that they should not say, I'm going to go to work at McDonald's, I'm going to make $16 an hour, and I want to stay here for the rest of my life and raise a family on this job.
If a kid makes that decision, that's their decision to make. You know, should a person stay at McDonald's? Are you saying that there's something wrong with working at McDonald's?
I think that there's something wrong with the idea that people should get a job as a 16-year-old and make enough money to live the rest of their life on. I think that there are some jobs that should be entry-level jobs that you work at so you can learn how to go to work with people and get along with
That's
people.
what we're talking about. Entry-level jobs are not paid enough right now.
Right.
It's a ridiculous amount of money. What it amounts to
I'm
is,
sorry.
is people are making
I'm missing.
profit.
You're arguing from the point of view of people who are. Wait, no. We're almost done. No, we're almost done.
Really?
Yeah.
Never mind.
Never mind. We're over time. But you're arguing from the point of view of somebody who is basically middle life, who wants to have an apartment, who wants to have kids, and that they should make a minimum amount of money.
Middle life. I had an apartment when I was 22 years old.
Okay, that's 22. That's in your 20s. You're arguing from the point of view that somebody in their mid-20s should be making enough money at a minimum wage job to have an apartment and start having kids. And my point is that there's different levels. You should say that there are teenage jobs, there are next level jobs, there are mid executive jobs. There are levels that you should try to be moving up to. And by raising it to the point of view of where a person who is 16 is making the same amount of money as a guy who's worked for 10 years in a job, takes the incentive.
Not happening at all.
Well, that's what I see.
If a guy's worked there 10 years in a job and they raise the minimum wage, and now the people that are just starting are making the same amount of money as him, then that guy's not been treated very well.
Or the other people are getting treated too well.
There's no such thing.
Why doesn't everybody just make $1 million a year?
I don't know, but I think that we're getting away from what I'm talking about, and that is that I don't understand the point of view.
You talk about universal health care, all right?
Sure.
You think everybody should have universal health care?
Absolutely.
All right.
I shouldn't be scared to call an ambulance.
I and you are pretty healthy, especially for people of our weight. I don't need health care every year. I mean, other than getting an appointment.
You should.
No, wait, let me finish my point.
Okay, sorry.
I don't need health care every day. How about that? You need health care every day?
I mean, I take medicine every day,
Okay.
and I don't know what's going to happen to me today.
Let's say people who are healthy, they don't need medicine every day. They need food every day. Why isn't food a basic human right that should be paid for by the
I'm
government?
ready to go there. I'm ready to go there. That's basic. You're talking about basic
Hey,
income.
I can't get around without my car, especially in Tennessee. Should I have a car? Everybody should be given a car?
No, but you know what should be available? Our public transportation should be such that you wouldn't need a car.
All right, but that wouldn't work in rural areas. I was talking about Tennessee.
It can work.
I absolutely believe that we should be improving our
It should be free, and it should be extraordinarily capable.
I don't know about free.
Why the fuck not? This is what I don't
We gotta
understand.
pay.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Want
Because
that?
people who are driving the buses get paid.
Yeah, we get paid by the government. Why would you not want the people?
So because
to do
who would
stuff?
pay for it?
We pay for stuff already. Who pays for the things we pay for already? Who's paying?
Are you okay with
You got no
paying?
problem with that.
Are you okay for paying for the fact that now we last year or 2 years ago started paying for people to pick up our garbage out of our alley?
Aren't we already paying for that? That's
Yes,
a tax, right?
it was taxed, and now we're paying for it on top of the tax because it wasn't enough money. Eventually, we're going to run out. We're going to have to raise everybody's taxes to pay for that. Universal health care, free busing, whatever.
Free healthcare. It should happen.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
or talk to women, free tampons.
Why not?
Yeah, right. Free everything. Fuck
I mean,
it.
there's a lot.
Who's going to pay for it?
I think first of all, I think you and I are certainly not in a position to answer that question. So what
I think I
talking
pay way too much taxes.
what I'm talking about right now is this is the things I think should happen. I don't know how to make it happen, and I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't have to know how to make it happen.
Yeah,
For me, what I have to say is this is the way I think it should be.
And that is your
And
typical
look at-
Democratic voter right there.
You look at countries where they do this kind of thing, and they are doing just well. Go to fucking Norway. That country is.
Oh, please.
fantastic.
You know what?
Go to fucking Japan.
Canada has-
Fantastic. Canada's okay.
Germany has universal health care.
They're doing great.
They're not doing great. My aunt lives there. She's not doing. The only thing that they're doing great
My
on, by the way,
friend lives in Germany,
I have to
doing
say,
just fine.
I will. This is something I have to say.
And is your aunt a good example? Of
Yes.
Somebody living in Germany.
Yes, 'cause she's very healthy until she hurts herself, and then. But I have to say, she went back there after she broke her wrist, and the one thing that they do that I have to say universal healthcare is better at is sending people out to your house to take care of you. What do you call that? Home
care.
skill, whatever, home care.
Okay.
Although my in-laws insurance pays for it, and they love it. So, all right, we're way over time. So thank you for joining us on Jeremiah Creek. We'll be back next week. Bye.
That's a damn good logo.
Yeah, it is. I tried to get a T-shirt made of it, but
What do you mean you tried?
well, I think the black background was messing it up.
Oh, you don't. Just I'll send you. You don't have to have the logo with the black background. I can send you the logo by itself.
All right. I'll try and look for it.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow to Skokie Library, and I'm engraving a bunch of these pieces of wood that are going to be the dividers in our library at Lodge. They look really sharp, man.
It doesn't cost you anything?
Not a dime.
You gotta bring the wood?
Actually, if you're going to make like coasters and stuff like that, they'll supply the wood. If you're going to make buttons, they've got supplies there, so it's like raw supplies last. Because they're getting money to do that.
Buttons?
Yeah. And, they have fabric if you want to do sewing, and so, yeah, all that stuff is there.
Well, if you go Monday, let me know.
I'm going Thursday.
Yeah, I'm working Thursday.
And I got to go in, and I'm trying to get all this stuff done before fucking September. I got a lot to get done. Now, I'm not going to finish this novel, but I'm going to come damn close. I am a third of the way through Act 2. I've never been I'm a third of the way through Act 2, and I know where I'm going. Every day I get up and I knock out 2,000 words, and fucking this thing is flying along, man.
Wow.
I'm gonna turn around and sell this motherfucker next year. Absolutely. I have a method right now that's so good I should fucking teach it to people. It is fantastic. Incredibly productive.
What is it? Teach me.
Well, I mean, I have one advantage that a lot of people don't have. You have it now.
You have time?
I have the time to do it. I am really fortunate in that regard. But for me, it was all about the planning. I had never done that before, so my planning was meticulous, and so I do all this work beforehand, all this research when I capture the idea. All these notes. I had 58 pages of notes and research and exploration. I did Proust questionnaires for all my characters. I did story spine for the whole plot. I did the hero cycle for the plot. Once I had all that stuff done, I did a sketch of the plot, and then I rewrote that, and then I rewrote that until I really had it down. And then I did the math to figure out how many scenes I needed. And then I did a scene-by-scene rough outline.
Wow.
And then I turned that into a scene-by-scene final outline, which I took the time to write. This is all by hand. To write incredibly neatly. For some reason that matters, and I still haven't been able to put that into words yet, but it does matter. And then...
Doesn't it slow you down?
Part of it is slowing down, and part of it is... I think there's a value associated with it that I can't quite put my finger on, but then now I'm writing the scenes, and every one of them is turning out to be 2,000, 2,500 words because I did all that work.
Wait, and you're writing by hand?
Longhand.
Wow.
I know exactly where I'm going with the story. I'm never at a loss, right? Although new things happen, but I'm never at a point where I don't know what to do next, which I've been in every single thing I've ever written before. And then when I'm done, I type it into Scrivener, and then I do 4 different kinds of edits there. I do a basic edit, and then I do a thing, this is cool, and you should do this whenever you write. I search and replace period space with period paragraph, and put it in Word. And now I have every sentence by itself, isolated. And I go through and I read every single sentence, and make sure that it's good. And if it's not good, I make it better. And I keep doing that until every sentence is great. Then I go through and make those changes, and then I read it out loud. And anywhere where I stumble when I'm reading, anywhere where I stop to figure something out, I mark that shit, and I re-edit it until I don't stop there. And now, like the first chapter of this thing, fucking polished like a goddamn mirror. Although I still don't understand how I ended up writing a fucking Harry Potter level fantasy thing, but whatever. I don't know where that came from. So it's a process now. I can drop anything into it and it'll fucking work. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But if I sell this first one, oh my god. It's the perfect kind of book. What? What's wrong?
I can't log into my subscription.
What is Adobe? What are you doing for Adobe?
That's how I download the audio.
From Adobe?
Adobe Audition, yeah.
Oh, I've never used Audition. I have Premiere. I do my videos on Premiere.
So do I, but I can't. Why am I not being able to watch?
Learned a great process there too. So now any day now I can start doing the eating bits of price videos, which is going to be great. Damn, I feel like I've had 48 cups of coffee because I finally freaking slept all night. Yeah, when I get really close to the end of this thing, I'll start sending you some of it. You can tell me what you think, but I'm not ready to do it yet. I don't want any feedback yet.
All right.
Yeah, I'm working like 8 hours a day on this stuff, including the stuff I'm getting paid for.
It says I'm not connected to the internet. That can't be right.
So one of the things I write about for Attorney at Work is the soft skills, you know?
Yeah.
And I came up with this thing called fear of mingling, where I address the current generation's fear of small talk and being on the phone and talking to people in real life, which is a weird thing, but it's true, they have it. And so I'm always paying attention to this stuff now, and I noticed the other day, because of my research, an ad popped up on Facebook for these cards. They're conversation cards, so you can kind of work your way through small talk and not be afraid, right?
Yeah.
And I read the cards.
I've seen
Things
those.
like, how many kids do you have? What's your pet's name? And I'm like, that's the most boring shit in the world. I'm going to send you the ones that I made up, all right? They're fucking hilarious. And I sent it to my editor, and he's like, we can do something with this. I think we're going to end up doing a Kickstarter campaign for these cards, which will be incredible. It's called Small Talk, Schmall Talk. I should have brought my laptop. I could send that to you. It's pretty funny. Sure you got. It's J.D. Vance's favorite couch. I got sucked into that because I thought that what I saw was an actual image of a paragraph in his book.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and my wife says that AP debunked that. And I saw on the news that like AP had to come out and say he did not fuck his couch. But then they took down that.
Yeah, because I love that's total Democrat liberal.
Why did they take it down?
Because all they can verify is that he didn't say it. They can't verify that he never fucked his couch.
But I mean, if they can, verifying that he didn't write it is the important part.
They can verify that he didn't write it.
That's all they have to do.
They can't verify that he didn't have sex with his couch.
That's not why they took it
They
down.
look it up.
Ah, you're sucked into
That's
it.
what they said.
Ah, you're sucked into a media thing.
You know what I didn't bring up because it really is making me mad was the guy the copper that got charged with first degree murder in
What about him?
Middle Illinois.
I just put on some tracks. Now this evening I bought for the store.
He shouldn't have been charged. It was self-defense. Oh my God.
Who got shot?
Are you fucking kidding? Do we not?
Did not record.
Says you recorded. Oh.